He stole that car out of Old Key, right off the street. And he lived on the other side, up towards Clear Spring, across the Chevrolet River. I never did know just exactly where he lived. But I don't know about it. Because I lived up in there myself, not up there. But close enough, I knew all about it. He drove that car for a year. And he drive it back to Old Key and drive it up on the street. And park it. Now, he was alive. He broke head at Labrador's Kansas. He killed a man up there that gave him, I don't know, a long sentence. It's not a life sentence, but he killed a man. They got the bank robbed in Ringwood, and the sheriff there, old Lou Burwell, one of the best sheriffs I've ever known in this part of the country. He told my mother and my brother that he thought he was the leader of it, and he was trying to get him on that bank business. But he never did get nothing on him. At the same time, he carried a warrant on him, though, for stealing that car. And he didn't know nothing about him breaking the pen and getting away up in Leavenworth, Kansas. And so this man had owned this car, and he stole it. And he had a little girl. I forget how old she was. She wasn't only about 8 or 9 years old. She was just a kid. And they'd been up in Old Kitty and going home. Started back home, and he'd park that car right up there. Well, it had some kind of a mark on it. And that kid see that car, and her daddy just walked right by it. She said, "Hey, Daddy," he said, "here's our car." And he walked back. He looked at it, he said, "How do you know?" And she told him about that mark that was on her car. And he looked at it, he said, "That's our car." That's right, it's our car. Well, he didn't never know. He was sitting out there, old kid knows. These kids do know a lot of funny. Some of these kids.
I say, you told me something about a Simmons that was an outlaw up in there, didn't you?
He was a leader of a bunch, yeah.
Whatever happened to him? Did they catch him, or?
Yeah, but it took him 12 years after it was all over.
What did he do that they...
I knew, and I'd seen these two Martin brothers. They just young fellas. I guess one of them was about 21, the other was 23, somewhere along there. They were just young fellas. Martin, he was about 40 years older than me, Simmons. He was a year old together, they were. And Simmons has died, though. I guess he's been an outlaw because he's the one started the bunch. And he told them, when they got started, he told them, he said, "You want to shoot everyone on sight." They robbed and everything else. They come up to Henderson there. And when they there, they robbed the depot, old Rock Island Depot there. They only got $7, but they robbed it. And that city marshal, I don't know, somewhere or another, he mistrusted them or something. And he come down there, and he started up on the north end of the platform. That Simmons, he was watching outside, and they sent them Martin boys in to get the guy. And he told them he'd stand guard, and he did stand guard. But he told his marshal, "Stop. Oh, don't come no further." That marshal didn't pay no attention to him, boy, let him have him, he killed him.
And they what?
He shot him and he killed him.
Oh.
So they got that $7, and they come over in there where we live, hiding out. But Lord, they'd been hiding out around The militias even got out after them. They whooped the militia right north of him. Well, and then they got down in around our country there, neighborhood, and they got to come down to them jacks. And one day they lost past them. Now they was afraid of them, there's no question about it, because they passed them. They sitting on a log back a little way. They had a horses tied up back in the timber. Well, that night they got enough logs in there. They guarding the four corners. They figured they'd take out, they get them. Well, them suckers do it some way. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. They left their horses tied up and took it afoot. I'll never forget it because I'm a small boy. I was an old kid. But me and my sister, with a buddy younger than me, we were praying and going on like kids will, And some way my mother was uneasy. I don't know. She knows, or we know, that they was in there somewhere, of course. And my mother said, I wish you children would be still. She said, I'm kind of nervous. She said, you can't tell what time. Said, they'll come here and want something to eat. Said, you just can't tell. She said, I want you to keep still. And it was, I don't think, 20 minutes till we had a shepherd dog. He began to bark and raise dickens ways east of our house, that way. And they was going across there at a half a mile, right across the field. There was a bachelor lived in a little frame house. He wasn't too old. And he went to his place. Well, Simmons didn't go in. But the Martin brothers did. But Simmons went with him up to the house, he said.
He stood guard.
And he told him, he said, told this fellow when he come to the door, he said, now, I said, we're the fellows that robbed the depot at the Hennessy and killed that marshal. And he said, the laws is at this. And he said, they've got these four corners got it. He said, we want to get something to eat. We're getting hungry and we've got to have something to eat. And said, want you to bring us up something to eat. He said, well, I'll have to cook it. He told him, all right. And he told these Martin brothers, he said, you boys just go on in the house. And he said, I'm going back out here and be secularized. He said, I'm going to guard the place till you go get, he gets something to eat ready for us. Well, he said he went to get in the supper. And he had to have a bucket of water. His boiler was actually a mile from my house. And he said, I got to go get a bucket of water. He said, what? He threw the water up and said, all right. Said, that's all right. Said, we just go along with you for company. It's one of them old draw wells. Old wooden bucket. He got his bucket of water, come on back. He said, he just had a water for his house. He said, them old Martin boys picked them rifles back over on the bed. Sat there and talked to her. Said he got the supper ready for him, was in the light. Still getting after dark quite a bit, and they passed on for it. So he said, one of them, he told him, he said, well, it's great for you. He said, okay. One of them, he went to the door, opened the door, stepped out in the yard and whistled. Here he said, Simmons, his rifle over on the bed, sat there to eat supper. He said, Simmons said to him, he said, well, say, we can't just take our saddle horses out of here, we got to eat. He said, no. we want to know we want to get a buggy for the town, for the driving team. We want to know who's got the best. We want the best. Because we're getting out of this part of the country. And we want the very best we can get. He was scared. I know that this fella never would hold up, but I know he told them where to go.
Sure.
Where he get the best driving team, because they were. This is a young fellow, and he took his girl to church that night. And it was about 3 miles from there, where to eat. But they cut right on across, you see. And they thought they had enough block in there. And they just cutting right across. That fella, I know him well. When he come out, he said out of the church with his girl, he said he walked up to help his girl in the buggy and untie his team, and he said them 3 birds was standing there, you know. One of them said to him, say, does this team belong to you? He hadn't said. But he was standing there waiting for him to come out. Well, he said, well, we're sorry, but we got to have them. He said, is there any way that they can get this girl home? Oh yeah, he said, her folks is here in a wagon. Well, he said, you take her and see she gets away home with her. So he did, and he come back. He had to know. He come back. They told him, he said, well, which way do you live? He told them, my God, he lived 4 miles from there. Simmons said to him, he said, well, I'll tell you, that's right on our route out of here. But he said, if you don't mind to, you can ride too. We'll take you right by your house.
Oh, that's pretty much farther.
And, well, it did. Well, he said when he got out of the buggy, he said, this Simmons told him now, he said, I'm going to tell you, we're sorry. But he said, we ain't got no money. He said, all we got out of that depot where Robbins was $7. He said, we ain't got no money. But he said, I got a mighty good rig here. And he pulled it off his finger. I'll bet he had that rig until he died. Oh, he kept. So he told him, he said, now, I said, I'm going to give you this ring. He said, there's nothing I'm going to do. I'm going to see you get this horse and this buggy. But he said, I ain't going to tell you what kind of shape they're in, but you'll get them back. And he said, I want you to drive, and I'm going to write you and tell you. I'm just going to drop you a line and tell you right where you're at. The one we leave. I know he did. They put him in a little barn way out way. And he wrote and told him, he said, well, he said, I'll tell you. When he wrote him, he said, we're sorry. He said, that is an awful good team, because he said, we drove 100 miles before they ever got anything to eat. He said, they got water. He said, we tried to feed them. He said, we'll stop and go and feed them. He said, you know what? He said, the laws run us out, and we had to get out, and we didn't feed them. But he said, I did grease a buggy. And so enough, there was a box apple grease in his buggy when he went and got it. He went and got it. But one of them boys that was so good, but the other, well, he lived for years, actually, he was a good horse. But one of them, he didn't last too long, but old said, he just drove it too hard.
See, there's one other thing I'll ask you. And was there many people shot or run off their claims in Cherokee Strip?
They tried it, and I guess, of course, I expect it was, But I did know a widow woman, and she was our neighbor. And said her man run a ranch out there in the Cherokee Strip. And she could ride a horse as good as a man. I mean, and she took a claim in that Cherokee. Her man died, and she took a claim in that Cherokee Strip. And the old guy, some way, he contested. And he built him a little shack. It wasn't very big, but he built it out of lumber. He'd get out of a day, and she had, I think it was two girls, one little boy. And she said he'd shoot that old rifle over the house, scare her around there, tried to scare her out, you know. And he never scared me, but he had the boy she had to know. And she said, she went and got her lawyer. She said, she told him what he's doing, trying to scare her out and shooting. I said, well, why don't you, he said, can you get some help? Why don't you just get, and right there in his house was a section line and 4 corners. Section line go both ways. Said, why don't you get enough help and just someday catch him going, move that thing right out in that section line. Move it right out in the section line. Well, she took it to his word. But and she went and moved that son of a buck house. She had 2 sons-in-laws. No, one son-in-law. And she said she got him to help move that outgrown house out there. I said they went over there and got the thing raised up to where they could get someone to drag it out there, you know, and they dug it right out in the section line and said, "More pony." Well, he come home, his house was gone out in the section line. Well, he goes, I was arrested. Well, the sheriff come, Lester he got her. He come got her and told her in. He said, she said, oh, she is mad. The next morning when he brought her stuff to eat, you know, said he brought her a cup of old black coffee. Said she had eat it before he get away. She didn't eat something. Come back, she hadn't drunk the coffee. Said that jailer said to her, he said, why, Daddy, he said, why'd you eat your breakfast? He said, how'd you think I could eat my breakfast? He said, you ever brought me a dime of pork here? You had a piece of meat. How do you think I could drink that coffee you never put nothing, no milk or cream in? He said, I can't drink that coffee that way. Well, he said, well, he said, I'll tell you, I'll get cream going, that coffee. She said, she will, I'll drink the coffee, but she said, that you just won't take it. I don't want it. So he said he wasn't got cream with the coffee. He said, she sat there, the fellow, sullen and mad at that old guy. And said, that day he come back by, Doc went and talked to him and said, well, Miss Kitty, said, how would you like to be out of it? Well, she said, I'd like it. Said, yes, he said, I'd like it. Well, he said, I'll tell you what, he said, I can't turn you, go, he said, or I'll say, not go, but he said, if you want to, and want to help my wife here cook, and help her wash, she's doing the cooking and washing for them neighborhood. And help her there, and said, I'm going to let you go. Let you out here free, but you got to stay here. Well, I said, I'll stay, sure. He turned her out. Well, she eat her table, you know. a few days. She got going up in town. They wanted a little something. They sent her up in town. She'd go up and buy it and come back with it. Her sister heard about it.
Who did?
Her sister. And she told David, said, now I'll tell you what. She said she'd done something to get in jail. She said, you go and go and see it. It went on for a few days. She got to fighting. Maybe she wasn't getting much to eat. And she cooked her up a bunch of stuff. Had her band take her down there. Went down there she was, going around the hill, around where we eating at the table. Her sister told her what. She said, I didn't know why you get what you wanted to eat. And I said, I cooked you up a bunch of stuff. Well, I said, I don't need it. You take it back home. I don't need it. She said, I ain't in jail. She said, I'm not in jail. She said, I'm just helping this lady here. She said, I even go up in town. And she said, okay, what? When you go back, you tell that bird that I'm not in jail. I'm going to down here running around up in town. I said, you tell him that. Oh, he had to hurry them. But she went out. She really went out. She done something she hadn't on the ground when she
She had on
was
the
out.
lawyer, did she?
Well, that's what she said. Said, I just went to that lawyer. That's what he told me to do, and I done it. I didn't know I was violating the law when I done it.
You told me the other day that there was some horses tied up out in the timber and they never found the owner?
Oh, yeah.
That was right after the run?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Just 3 or 4 days after the run. But these horses were almost starved to that side. When me and her was married, I had a team of colts. From one of them. I had a team of colts. They were good horses, I believe. But my daddy married one of them that found them horses. They happened to find them out. They tied back up in the brush like timber. They poured out holes where they did,
Don't you imagine these outlaws, they left them tied like that?
No, they weren't outlaws. No, they took them. Them days they took them, yeah. But no, what had happened? They'd been killed for their crime.
They've been killed. Oh, yeah, they did kill
But
them.
they didn't want them horses. They didn't want to keep them. They just brought them down there and tied them up to the top to there. They found them, boy. They untied and took them over. Saddle horses long.
Well,
But
Mr.
that old lady that I was telling you about, there was a lot of people traveling across that strip. That's what my daddy was afraid of. Across the strip. Boy, open, comes over. He's afraid. Afraid across that strip. Of course, it was robbing people, but a lot of people got killed. But this old war I tell you about, when Obama lived, they were running a ranch, and they was across Oklahoma, or the strip. Some wasn't a wagon, covered wagon. He was south. She went out, she said one day to round the cattle up, and said she spied something that looked like a wagon, a covered wagon. Said she watched it, sat on a horse and watched it a little bit. Said, I just made up my mind I'd go and see. Said she took off and went over there. And there that man was, been killed. And them horses had been tied up several days. Said they starved for time for water, and they pulled out a great hole where they tied the wagon. They never took him, they over the man's money.
That's all they want, the money.
They took his money.
That's what they're doing now.
There was a lot of people robbed, killed.
Well, Mr. Waggoner, I want to thank you. I've taken a lot of your time, but I appreciate it very
You
much.
had that all down too, hadn't you? Miss Michael had all that down.
Yeah, I've got it all down.
Did you something taking that?
Yeah. I'm still taking it.
Yeah, I didn't think you
But you've led a real interesting life.
Yeah, man. That funny thing, I can remember that all But one thing, I have got a good memory. To be even my age, I've got a good memory. But I can go back to when I was 3 years old. I can remember my daddy's place before he ever sold it in Illinois. I was 3 years old when we come to Oklahoma first time. You know what? I tell folks about our place back there. Uh, I'd say I can remember that when I was a kid, 5, 6 years old. I can remember it. Oh, you know what you're talking about. And even my brothers would tell me. Oh, my brothers. Oh, you don't remember the talk. Well, I do. So one day after I got up about 8 years old, yeah, 7, 8 years old, they got talking about the whole place, you know, and I said, yeah, I remember it. Oh, you could remember it. Oh, yes, I said, I can. I said, I'm going to tell you. I said, we had a big creek run through it. I said, Paul's farmer land was bottom land it was. And I said, the creek run through it. And I said, our house set up on a high bluff right by the creek. And I said, another thing, I said, Paul, the whole water for bombs to wash. I said, he hold the water for bombs to wash. Which he did. I remember getting paid, he was paid till he died. But he drive, the road that went down to that creek here, it come down here a little ways this, and then you had to go down the bank, the bluff, the creek this way. And then cross it like that. And right here, when you get down in the creek, just right below the crossing, goes to it with a whole water. And our well up there, the reason he had the hole, he done enough for the house, but he didn't have enough water in it for the wash and stuff with it. And he had a barrel and he just throw it in the wagon and go down there. And when he drive down in there, he just back up that whole water, where it'd be almost up to the bed. And you know, the wagon bed had a step on about this long.
This concludes the interview with Mr. Luther Waggoner. That's Waggoner. If it was spelled otherwise, the spelling is Waggoner. The next.
This interview is a part of the Oklahoma Historical Society's Oral History Program Living Legends collection. This interview was originally conducted on the 31st of May, 1974. The interview was conducted by Mr. Frank Beneda. That's capital Benede. The interviewee is Mr. Luther Waggoner, and that's capital Waggoner of Hitchcock, Oklahoma. This material is being re-recorded on the 28th of May, 1986 for inclusion in the permanent collections of the Oral History Program by Judith Michener.
Following is an interview with Mr. Luther Waggoner, Wagner, from Watonga, Oklahoma.
Yeah. This is Frank Beneda, Hitchcock, Oklahoma. This is May the 31st, 1974. That I am recording for Living Legends. This is Mr. Waggoner. Let's see, what is your first name? Luther Waggoner of Watonga. Mr. Waggoner, what year were you born?
1889,
And whereabouts were you born at?
Illinois.
Illinois. And was your father born in Illinois?
Yes, sir.
He was born in Illinois.
Born in Illinois.
And whereabouts in Illinois? Probably the central part of Illinois?
Yeah, central part of Illinois.
Uh-huh. And where was your granddad born?
He was born in Carolina.
North Carolina or South Carolina?
That I don't know. My grandmother was born in one Carolina, and my grandfather in the other. So they were both in Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And he settled in Illinois then?
Yeah, they was a colony of them. They was two wagons, and my grandfather and my grandmother, they rode a horse in there from Carolina there. They all come together. And there was two families of whites already in this car. There were two families with the name of Williams. And there were two families of colored people by the name of Broadies.
Was what?
By the name of Broadies.
Now what's that? Free runaways?
Yeah, they was runaways. They got away from slavery.
And you say they call them what?
Broadies.
B-R-O-D? You know how they spell that?
Why, I guess. Broadies, all I ever heard.
Oh, was that their name?
That was their name.
That was their name?
Yeah, that's what they go by. That probably wasn't the really name. But they was living there with the Indians when these Waggoners moved in there. They settled there with them. Except I know they settled on a pretty good sized creek. And the Indians were pretty thick in there. All kinds of wild game, turkeys, deer. One of my Uncle Gilbert's, he said he went out behind his old log barn one day and it was on a hill slope. And he said he counted 99 deer laying in the front of it on the hillside. And that's about all they had to eat was game and fish. But the trading points was Chicago and St. Louis, Illinois. And they were just about the same distance to either one of them. And they'd be a wagon go once a year. And they traded their furs and their stuff, and about all my father said they bought was they bought ammunition, powder, and lead. They made their own bullets. They bought their own rifles, and they made their own pellets to shoot their rifles, and soda and stuff like that. And that's about all they'd buy. They growed their own corn stuff like that for bread. They'd use a wooden maul to maul that up, or beat it up with a hollow log trough. They'd make, to maul it up with. My grandfather, his clothes was buckskin. And no button, though. They had laces. They laced them. And they make their own laces. out of buckskin, rawhide, you know. They make their own laces. I know my father said he was small, but he could remember him going out a hunting, and it'd be damp or misty or something, and he'd close his jaw up, get wet and draw up on it. And he said his pants legs would be way up almost to his knees.
Now, can you think of any other stories your dad told you about your granddad?
Well, no, not in particular. Only in the old, when we had that old Civil War, and I happened to think about that town where he was, where my father was really raised, Mattoon, Illinois. Yeah, I've been thinking some about it. He was living out there in the country until that happened. And when he got into that war, and he was a man that liked to argue, he did have a good many enemies. And he was a Republican, and there was a lot of Democrats living around there. And they threatened their lives, and he moved to Mattoon and went into business. And they had just come out with that new Springfield rifle. And the Army got to use them after they come out with that new Springfield rifle. I believe it was a 7-shot. Yes, I mean, that's what it was, a 7-shot. Them Democrats, they put up a camp pretty close by too. They was practicing out there drilling and stuff. They coming in there and take back too. The government furnished the people there in Mattoon them Springfield rifles. My daddy said, and he wasn't only about 10 years old, he said they told him what day they coming in and taking. And he said they didn't know they had them Springfield rifles. And they all knew. And he said he could well remember what went on, because he said when the time they was supposed to march through the town and take it, he said they was men in Mattoon had them Springfield rifles. And he said they got up on a Essex House. Now I don't know what an Essex House is, but he said an Essex House, right on top of it. He said he got up there with his daddy. And he said when they come marching through, they didn't want everything. You had them old muzzle-loading shotguns and old muzzle-loading rifles, and he said them there new rifle barrels were glittering. They didn't want nothing, and they marched on through. And he said when they marched through, he said they got out and dug a ditch across the street before they got back through, make them go around. But he said if they'd been one shot fired, they'd had a regular war right there in Mattoon. I know on my mother's side, my grandfather on my mother's side, he was practically in the same shape, but I don't know too much about that. And I won't.
Now, Mr. Waggoner, when did your folks come to Oklahoma?
Well, let's see.
Did your dad make the run into old Oklahoma?
No, he didn't. He come directly out right after it was open. He made the run of the Cherokee Strip.
Yeah. But you say you come to old Oklahoma from...
Old Oklahoma. But you see, where we live, we was in 2 miles and a half of the Cherokee Strip, old Oklahoma line.
The east side of the line, or the...
was on the south side of the line.
South side of the line.
But the Cherokee Strip, yeah.
Hmm. And what did the country look like in those days?
Well, I don't know. I'd hate to see it ever look that way again. I'm going to tell you, it was little log houses, dug out. That little old log houses made out of them blackjack logs. They had dirt floors. They had dirt roofs, red dirt roofs, where they're down in the ones that lived in down where it's sandy. They go out in a strip or somewhere and get this red dirt and make the roof out of red dirt. They'd take them blackjack logs and they'd split them. And they'd lay the split side down and the round side up. And there'd be about a foot and a half of red dirt on the top of that. They'd have a log down through the middle, a pretty good size to hold it up. Go up through their little log houses. And then another log between hitting the wall on each side. And of course, there's all hallway doors, everything like that. Because people didn't have no money them days. That's the way people had to live them days. And out on the Cherokee Strip, they made a good many sod houses. They'd go out and get that sod and cut it up in blocks and make sod houses. And after several years afterwards, I see the big one. I went to Colorado in a wagon 50-some years ago, 60-some. I went to Colorado in a wagon, covered wagon, and I see the big sod house. I hadn't seen one for years, and it was still standing. It was a good-sized house. And they had a big window there, and I could see from the road, I could see flowers in the window, you know. But them in the Cherokee Strip, most of them was just small, one room, just one room. I had an aunt that lived out there, and her mother had to go away and work. She had a big old Newfoundland dog. He weighed about 110 pounds. She'd keep him in daytime chained up at the door. And then at night she'd bring him inside. And she had a revolver, and she'd lay on a chair by a mat. She'd stay out there while he'd go away and work. People that wasn't no work in Oklahoma, that is, hired help. They'd work all right, and a lot of them, but no hire. People didn't have money to hire nobody. Or they'd have to go to Kansas or somewhere to work. He'd stayed out there day in and day out, night after night, by himself, right out on that old wild Cherokee Strip. Them days, it was pretty rugged because there was so much going on. It was dangerous to have any money or anything if people know it, because you just have to get it took away from you. And I have known them covered. They'd tell you a place at night if you had a fat hog and even kill a hog. And the next morning you get up, you would have a hide in the entrance, and the hog would be gone. They done cattle the same way down in old Oklahoma before the Cherokee Strip opened, when that was all cattle country. And them cattle would slip and get away from them, maybe a little bunch, 3 or 4, maybe half a dozen, and they drift off down there in old Oklahoma. Well, them fellas, a bunch of them would get together and they'd go out and butcher them. I know my daddy was a minister, and he wouldn't do nothing like that, and the fact of it is he didn't have to. 'cause he was about the only one in our neighborhood that had any money. 'Cause he'd sold his farm back in Illinois when we come to Oklahoma, and left the money in a bank there so his brother could send it to him whatever he wanted. And we fared pretty good as far as that's concerned. But he still was close on his money. And maybe we get up in the morning, and we had a big blackjack tree out in the yard, just a little ways from the house, and maybe a quarter of beef hanging in that tree. And it was dangerous, and there was a lot of robbing going on them days. I'll tell you, even the old Oklahoma, you see, when these ranchers had to go out, they had most of these cowboys, they wasn't several old cowboys, but the most of them were just young boys. And they was working for $12 or $14 a month, herding cattle. Well, they was out of a job and they didn't know anything else to do. And a lot of them even made bad men, as far as that's concerned. They did. They was worse. And if there's any old United States marshal living today, he'd tell you that they was worse than the regular old men bandits was. Because for many of them, they had to shoot them to even take them. And I do know this, that at one time, Oklahoma had 1,000 United States Marshals here in Oklahoma. And a man over here at Guthrie, it was just a little old place, a store. And that fella that run the store, he come in there from Kentucky. He was a young fella, and he put in a store. And he had the first glass front that was in a building in Oklahoma. And right north of Guthrie, north of the Seminole River, about 2 miles, there was a ranch set in up towards Mulhall, Oklahoma, a big ranch. And them cowboys would come down there and break his glass front out. And they'd shoot the place up. There's a little old post office and a saloon of that store. And the man that run the post office, he wrote to the government and told them there had to be something done about it. And just in a few days, they put this Hicks that run the store, they put him in, United States Marshal. And then they put him in, and he was over. All that whole sound of them. And I know he run a piece several years ago. He run from day to day in the Daily Oklahoma, a piece about all that. He said that he couldn't begin to name all his marshals that was under, but he did give the name of about 5 of them, of the best ones, and he said he would give that, and he'd tell them about what all they had to go through with, and this Dalton bunch and all that is over here. I had their hideout, a little old town, you know, on the other side of Guthrie there. And I guess that old place is still there. I turned around it here several years ago. I didn't know it was hit right at the time. I got off my road off that 33 highway, and I come to it. My daddy-in-law was with me. It wasn't a light in that little old place. It had a well right out in the middle of the street. Now, I know I turned around that well. I got off my road. And I turned around, it was pretty dark, and I turned around that old well and drove on back. And later I found out that was the second Dalton bunch is hideout. And they had a hotel, they had a store, a livery barn, a blacksmith shop.
Now, whereabouts did you live in old Oklahoma?
Kingfisher County,
And how
west of Hennessy.
about how many miles would that be?
Well, I've lived 10 miles, I've lived 14
Oh.
miles northwest.
Now, when did you start the school?
Well,
Did you start the school in old Oklahoma?
No, I really didn't. My dad went back to Illinois, and he stayed about a year, not quite a year. You see, my mother, when we come to Oklahoma, that's what brought my dad west. My mother, she got poorly, and she was just slim as a rail, you know. Oh, when he come to Oklahoma and stayed here in Oklahoma a few years, after he come here, she just got better, and she just went to pushing up and got big. She was heavy. She weighed a little better than 200 pounds. Well, I don't know, he liked Illinois. These folks was all back there, you know, about it. And he did like Illinois. He went back, and she began to get back again. And I know he sold out everything he had. He just sold it out all but his team and wagon. And boy, we had him back to Oklahoma.
In a team and wagon? With a team and wagon?
Yeah. I made that trip 3 times in a covered wagon. I remember a lot of it all. It is something. I rode many miles with a covered wagon.
Now, when your dad come back to Oklahoma, did he had the Cherokee Strip opened yet?
When he come back?
Yeah.
Well, he had it open before he went back.
Oh, he had made
yeah.
Your dad made the run in the Cherokee Strip?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was later on, as he went back to Illinois, you know.
Mm. Well, let's see. Now, you were in the run, you told me, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I was in the run.
Now, would you tell us from about this 2 or 3 days, where were you a couple days before the strip opened?
Well, at home, we lived, my daddy lived at about 2 miles and a half from Cherokee Strip line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because he had rode out there, and he knew where he was going to. You know. He rode out there 3 or 4 times looking over before the race ever took place.
Mm-hmm. Now, why don't you tell us about a day before the run started? Now, did you get ready, get the wagon ready and the horses ready?
That's right. Well, he had to put the overjet on his wagon, a sheet on. He had a bed up there, and the 3 boys slept underneath of it. We'd have to crawl back underneath of it and sleep. And my mother and him slept up on the overjet. See, it went out over the wagon about this far, you know.
About a foot and a half.
Yeah. About a foot, I guess, maybe.
On each side.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Now, you got all ready to go the day before, did you, or a couple days before?
No, about a day before, because it wasn't too much of a job. He had that overjet, you see, and stuff.
He
Coming from Illinois, he still had it, you know.
Uh-huh. Now, the morning of the run, what did you do?
Well, as I can remember,
What about the night before the run?
well, we just got ready and took a lot of stuff to eat with us. What stuff other than water, we had to have water. And we took that all with us. But we couldn't take a lot because we know there's going to be a race. You couldn't take a lot, you know. But I was glad I could just fight the race. How I was shaking around and going across that prairie.
Well, let's see. Now, you got ready about the day before.
Yeah.
And what did you do that night then? Did you go to the line that night?
No. Went
You
the
didn't?
next morning, going over that 2 mile and a half drive, you know, about 2 mile and a half.
And you started this race then about...
I think it was 10 o'clock. years I can remember.
Well,
10 o'clock.
You from Hennessy.
No.
Well, yeah, but I mean from Hennessy. About where did you start this run?
Well, let's see, well, we was around 14 miles. Well, I tell you where we was at. It was straight south of Drummond. To the line of old Oklahoma, where Drummond is now.
About how far?
Well, it'd be about, let's see, old Barwood. I believe it was 5 miles. About 8 miles.
About 8 miles south of Drummond.
Yeah.
And you were facing toward the west.
Oh, we was facing east, north.
You was facing north?
We run north, kind of little northwest. The claim he wanted was a little northwest where we started. And we did go a little northwest.
Now, were there soldiers lined up along the line to keep you back, or?
The soldiers was there. They was there when we got there, but see, that time was set. And I as near as I remember, it was right on 10 o'clock. And when they lined them, you couldn't get over the line. They kept them back. And they kept them all in line.
These soldiers on horses?
Yeah, they was horseback. And they was soldiers even riding the Cherokee Strip. They was riding out in that Cherokee Strip looking for squatters. They could go out there, ahead. When the time comes, they had to watch. When the time comes, they could stick their flag up. They did round up a good many of them, but I think there's a lot of them, they never did round up, as far as that's concerned, they never did. And I've been told, of course I don't know if that'd be true or not, but I've been told that if you slip a $10 or $20 bill, they go on leave. Now, whether that's so, I just didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Now, what happened when they shot the gun to signal?
Whenever they fired them guns, they held them up like that. I remember it. They held them up like that, and boy, when they pulled them triggers on them, they was off and gone.
Now, what did it look like when that gun went off?
Well, I tell you what, it didn't look terrible to you now because they was actually footers. They was actually guys in carts. They was in buggies. They was in wagons. They was all. Just name it, they was there.
What was the weather like that day?
Oh, we had a nice day that day. Yeah, it was nice weather. Yeah.
Now, how far did you run in the wagon?
Well,
and all you kids were in this wagon?
Well, it was.
Or not all?
There was 4 of us kids and my mother. Me, my 2 oldest brothers, a sister younger than me. And boy, I'm telling you right now, we went across the prairie. So the mules like to run anyway.
And did any wagons turn over or anything?
Not in that, no, not in that. No, I never heard of that if I ever turned it over. But there was horses. It wasn't so far. It really fell down on them. Yes, sir. And there was a lot of thoroughbred horses in that, even race horses. Because they come from everywhere for that strip.
If you was making that run today, what would you use? Would you use a saddle horse or would you take a wagon?
No, I'd take a saddle horse. But the head was right. You see, I think maybe I believe that was the last, that was the only race as I know of ever being run. Well, of course, we had land that wasn't even taken in the old Oklahoma here, And somewhere, I just don't know exactly, I don't know where that line is, but I know about where it is. That'd be down here between Gary and the South River. And there was a big body of land in there. I know my daddy even drawed on that. He drawed on that. As they said, the reason why they was down here between Gary and the South River. And there was a big body of land in there. I know my daddy even drawed on that. He drawed on that. And they said the reason why they was drawing for it, and they drawed it El Reno, you know. He said why they was drawing for this here, the government did. Said there wouldn't be no more races because there was too many people killed in the race of the Cherokee Strip. There's never been a race that I know of outside of that. And there wasn't that many people killed. And even the women, there was women on horses running that Cherokee Strip. But there was even women shot in that Cherokee Strip. And I don't know. That's why they just thought it'd be a better to
Okay, now when these guns went off and you started running, did you just keep it going until you come to the farm that your dad wanted to stay?
That's right.
About how many miles was it you ran?
Well, I know I've been over that many times. I go by there. A lot of times I've been by it. No, it'd be between 3 or 4 miles.
You ran 3 or 4 miles before you
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
What happened when you stopped?
Well, my father just jumped out of the wagon. He had his flag already on his
Now what these flags look like? I hadn't heard of that
red
before.
flag
On a stick or something?
on the stake.
And you tried to stick that in the center of the quarter or
No, anywhere on.
anywhere on?
You can get it right on the corner. If it's over 3 feet, it's all right, or any mountain. So you over on it.
Okay, now would you tell us what happened after he drove the flag in? Was there still people coming across there?
Yes, but when my daddy stuck the flag, the old-time cowboy, and he was getting up years, he'd passed middle age, and he had the flag just a little ways west of my daddy, and it wasn't very far apart. He thought he had that flag up when my daddy stuck his, but now why my daddy done it? He'd run out there so much that he'd run a line just about straight through, and he could look back and see a section line when he was riding around out there back in old Oklahoma. And he knew he was on a claim, you see. Well, this old stranger, he didn't know, he thought my daddy could be on his. And he come over there and,
What did he look like? Do you remember what he looked like?
Well, yeah, he was a pretty rugged old guy, and he had looking old guy, and he had 2 6-shooters, one on each side of it. My mother, she didn't like that. I know she began to get uneasy. And he said to my dad, he said, Mister, he said, you know what, I had my flag up, he said, about 15 minutes before you got yours up here. And he said, I believe you on my claim. And Dad, he was easy going by it. And he said, no. He said, I'm sure. He said, I ain't. Well, he said, if you want to stay here, till the lines run out. And he said, you may be. So I told him, he said, I've lined this up through here before it's ever happened. This race ever took place. He said, no, I'm pretty well sure I'm on a claim. He said, I think the line is between me and you. Well, he said, maybe. Well, he said, I'll tell you what you do. He said, if you want to do it, he said, you just stay here. But he said, I'm going to tell you, if you're on my claim, you ain't got nothing. No. Father told him, he said, no, I wouldn't give you no trouble. Sure enough, we was, the line was between us. And there's a bunch of, they'd run around, and they hadn't had a crate, and they stuck a flag on the northeast corner back a little ways, and they stuck their flag up. And this old stranger, he seen them there all. And he come over there, and he told me that. He said, I'm going to tell you, mister, he said, if you've got a claim, he said, them fellas over there is on yours. Yeah? Dad told me that. He said, they are. Well, he said, I'm going to tell you. You stay right here, because I'm going to stay with you, because he said, I seen them set that flag up. And he said, and I looked at my watch when you come here. I looked at my watch when they come here. And he said, you was here. He said, oh, 15, 20 minutes or more. He said, or they set that flag up. He said, no. He said, you just stay with it. Now, he said, I'm going to tell you. If you need any help, he said, I'm going to help you. Well, a couple of them come over there. And they told me that. They said, Mister, you on our claim? My father told me, no. He said, I don't think so. Well, he said, yes, you are. Well, they argued him a little bit. They see he was so that way, they turned around and went on back. This old stranger, he comes on over there. He said to my dad, he said, now listen, he said, don't you let them fellas over there, he said, put you over here. Because he said, if you on a different claim to I, he said, you stay right here. And he said, I'm going to see you through. And he said, I'll tell you what it's do. He said, I know. He said, if they're on your claim, that you've got a claim here. You're on it. He said, I'll run along. He said, you come and go with me. And they went over there, and I know my buddy tried to keep him going, and she's scared. And he went on over there, him and my dad. There's 3 men of them, and he told them, he said, listen, he said, you're on this man's claim. And said, now you better get that thing rolling. He said, and get on out of here. And, he told him, he said, I'm going to tell you. He said, if you don't get off of here, he said, this is just as good a place to start a cemetery as he is. But he said, that's what we'll do. We'll start a cemetery right here. You know what they got out of there? They left.
Did this old cowboy, did he
He
prove?
stayed there for years.
He did.
Yeah.
Was he a bachelor, or did he have one?
Oh, yeah, he was a bachelor. You know what? Years afterwards, that man was a big cattle buyer. He bought cattle all over the country. Yeah. But he saved my dad, all right. Because Dad, they just buffed him out. They would have.
And is this where you started to school in the Cherokee Strip? Did you go to school in the Cherokee Strip?
Do what?
Did you go to school then in the Cherokee Strip?
No. They didn't have no schools out there for a year or two. And we didn't have any yet in Oklahoma out there. Vegas had a little long schoolhouse made out of blackjack law, but I didn't go to it because you had to go a long way. And that thing wasn't as long as that door there to that wall, because it made out of that blackjack law. And it had that dirt floor, that dirt roof, like I told you about. Homemade seats in the front. That woman got, that young girl got, she was teaching, a young girl taught the school. There was a few niggers went, and a few whites. My oldest brother went to it. It was pitiful. Well, then they got in a lawsuit finally after the territory got enough money they could afford to build a schoolhouse. The niggers, they wanted to separate the niggers and the whites, and they did separate them. They got enough, people that got enough around them and all that they could get enough tax money that they could afford to build some schoolhouses, you know. And some of them, I know some of them right down this point, two districts in one, a district and a half, several of them, you know. Well, they got in a lawsuit, but I don't know, it's right on the edge of Cherokee Strip in old Oklahoma. They got in Triangle. Them fellas out there on Cherokee Strip, they got the raiding pretty good weed cops, and they had their money. And them fellas down there in the timber, they didn't have a lot of money, and they got the lawsuit, but they lost for 3 years. Well, when they was going to build that white schoolhouse in the center of the district. Well, while they was along, the niggers, they was getting along with one another pretty good. And they got a good schoolhouse right in the center. Well, they had to, the law was that they had to set them so far apart, you know. Then they had to move the white school half a mile further out of the center. But still, them fellas up there started this lawsuit, they were the ones that their kids had to go even further. We did have trouble with the schools. They didn't have this tax money. I know my father, when he come to Oklahoma, he didn't want no dirt roof. He didn't want no dirt floor. And he put a floor in his house, and he put a straight of roof on it.
See, did he have a log house?
Yeah, he had a log house. Cut the logs and used them. He cut them and used them. And he had a good roof, and he had a good floor, and good gold. And they set the floor in his house, the roof. Now, believe it or not, they done it. And the day goes on.
Anyway,
They couldn't get no land tax. That was the worst of it. You couldn't get no land tax. There was none. Not for years. There wasn't no land tax. See, they had patents on now, all them things. That's a patent that the government. They give you that patent, the government does. Well, that's better than any deed or abstract that anybody ever had. To get out of paying tax, them fellas would just write it and write it and write it. Finally, the government got on to them and made them all prove up. And when they proved up, of course, they take that patent deed and they get a deed, abstract on it, you know, just like we do when we buy a place now. But I don't, my brother-in-law, his dad, he went several years, and he was right about it and said, well, he had the best thing going. He didn't know what he never get an abstract on it that don't have to pay no tax. Yeah? But when that law come through, he had to do it, you know. They several of them doing it, but they wasn't getting enough tax money.
This is Frank Beneda. This is Frank Beneda. This is Frank Beneda. This is Frank Beneda. This is May the 31st. May the 31st. May the 31st. May the 31st. Let's see. Now, Mr. Waggoner, you was telling me there were quite a few outlaws in the Strip. Do you remember much about them?
Well, they know most of the outlaws really were in old Oklahoma, the biggest part of them. They was outlaws, of course, everywhere. And even the ones in old Oklahoma at the time, before that Cherokee Strip opened down back in the day, down the Cherokee Strip. I think, you know, that, all I know, the majority of the outlaws really was in old Oklahoma. The most of the biggest part of them, according to the Biden, was over all of these United States Marshals, 1,000 of them. He was the head man. And he had orders from the government to clean it up. I know that's what he claimed. He said that the majority of them were young fellas. They'd been cowboys out of work. They didn't know anything more than herd cattle. So they were, I guess the most of them were young people, young boys, and they were the old Oklahoma, the most of them. But of course, I'm going to tell you, they could have been anywhere hiding out. He's been in Cherokee Strip. But after the Cherokee Strip opened, they began to clean up on these outlaws. We still had enough of them. For a long time we had enough of them. We had some old, I know, old Dick Yeager, he was just up here.
Was Dick Yeager over in the country where you live?
His hideout used to be up of about Fairview down that Severold River. Up down that Severold River. The worst trouble of it was, there was people would hide them out. I know a family that lived around here. This woman's dead and gone, this old woman, but I hear her talk about keeping Dick Yeager and his horse for as high as 3 days at a time, you know. You get him rest up. Oh, you see. She feed his horse. Said she didn't deny it. They pretty tough to sell, though. That's the way it was, but that was Ray's hideout. That, you know, right east of Okini, I think it was 4 miles. Well, part was David Townsend. That was before Okini was there, though. But the part was David Townsend. He run a little old store in one side of his house, and there was a lot of them, just little old outfits, and he used to buy the post office. And you find them little post offices all scattered around here and there, all over here. I don't know, there was a bandit, but they were black. That was Shoebake.
Name of what?
Shoebake and black. They were black. I just don't remember that which one that shot down. But he was they found out that he was doing a lot of spying on them, you see. He had a boy 12 years old. He had a boy a girl 8 years old. And now that happened right 4 miles on the other east of Okini, about 4 miles, some road. And I know his brother well. I run that out. He got killed. He lived over on the other side. Yeah. They come by one night, and I was eating supper, but it was dark.
Who was eating supper?
Miss Townsend and his mama, they was eating their supper. They come in there, you know, one of them did. You know, just one of them. The other, he stayed it out. He didn't come in. He told Townsend, he said he wanted to get a plug of tobacco. Townsend told him, all right. And he got up and went into the store part. Of course, the doctor there, no electric, nobody knows nothing about electric there. A little old lamp he had in there to get his tobacco, and when he done that, boy, he was looking right down and sick to me. This Townsend, he was pretty good. He was pretty husky. Townsend was pretty husky, he probably was too. Townsend jumped and nailed him. Just grabbed him. They had tough. This 12-year-old boy, his wife said that she could see in there what was going on all the time. And this boy, 12-year-old boy, said to his mother, said, "Oh," he said, let me get that shotgun, shoot that man." And she wouldn't let him. No, she said, "You might shoot your daddy, no good." She never dreamt about wanting to be outside. And he got him to the door, and he done locked the door to the store, and he had a bar across it. Besides, he's locked. A lot of them outfits them days did have bars, and they even have wooden bars, maybe that thick each direction, you know. There's a steel outfit over here, and over back over here, where they run that thing through that. I've seen several of them like that. He got to the door with him, and he reached up, his wife said, "What out?" and took that bar out. He unlocked the door, and he still was bad enough to keep that brother from even shooting him. And when he done that, he gave him a shove, and shoved him out in the yard, and this brother was standing, the other one was standing right beside the door and shot him, killed him. I know the marshal well, and run him, and he run out by him. I'm telling you, he run him for several months to get him, before he ever got him. But he took off, they split up, they did then, and he went down to Texas. I don't remember just what it was, Dallas or Fort Worth. But he went down to Texas, and he put his horse up in the liver barn. You know, every town that he started had a liver barn. He put his horse up in the liver barn. Well, this United States Marshal said he's keeping up with him all the time. But he said he wanted to take him alive. He'd run him and been so long after him, he said he didn't want him saying he got the wrong back. Well, he said he hung around there for several days. He said it wasn't a day, but what he said, actually it wasn't a day but what he seen him. He said he could have killed him several times if he wanted to kill him. He said one day he sold his horse, but he got fixed up with his brother at the barn. If he'd ever took that horse out of there to the left, he'd have notified this marshal. He sold the horse though. He sold it to the barn. And he bought his ticket. Bought his ticket to Denver.
To where?
Railroad ticket to Denver. Well, he said there he was on the horse, and I'd seen his horse for many a time. And he had a trained horse. He was actually trained horse. He didn't know what to do with his horse for to leave him there. He had to leave.
This interview with Mr. Waggoner will
Trained horse. He didn't know what to do with his horse for to leave him there. He had to leave. So he made arrangements with this barn man. When he found out he sold that horse, he knew what he was going to do. He was going to take the train and skip out of there. See? But he told this barn man now, he said, I want you to keep this horse with you. I want you to take good care of him. But he said, when I order you to ship him up to Hennessy, he said, I want you to ship him up there. When you get your car, ship him up there. I want that home. He said, I'll pay all the bill. He went down and he got him a ticket. He found out he bought that ticket to Denver, and he bought one too. He said he rode right in the same car with it. Well, I said he took him a lot of time to kill him. Well, he said he messed around in Denver for a while, and finally one day he bought a ticket for over into Oregon. Well, he bought him a ticket over in Oregon. And it went on, and I guess one of this marshal said what he was doing, he was going to come back and get with this other guy if he could. What he figured. And one day he bought a ticket back to Hennessy, right? I guess you might say there's a few miles of where he shot that from. Well, when he bought I took it back to Tennessee. He said he'd run him some fur and all. He made up his mind that that was one man that wasn't going any further than that. Well, they had a big saloon there, right where the bank is down on the corner. Had a big saloon there. Every day was parked for it. Big pool on the bank is big saloon. A half block off. Went from back to our Main Street. But this marshal, he seen the city marshal there. Of course, he knowed him well. He knowed that city marshal well. He told him, I said, I'm going to take him. He said, I ain't going to go further. He might kill him. I ain't going to go further. I'm going to take him. But he said, what I'm going to do, he said he was standing there up in front of the saloon. He said there were 67 guys there. He was standing there, but he said he wasn't taking no hand in talking or anything. He just standing there with him. He said he told that marshal, he said, you get down there, you come in that back door, that pool hall, get up with that middle door. He said, but stay out of sight. He said, if I need your help. He said, if I can get him in there, get him to take a drug. He said, I'm going to nail him. He said, I'm going to nail him. He said, I think I can handle him. I'm going to nail him. I want him alive. He said, I just want to take that man alive. He said, he's running for wrong. He said, he just absolutely wanted to get him alive. Well, he said he walked up there and he said to him, he said, of course he knew he got it coming. He said, boys, he said, come on in. He said, the drinks are on me. All of you, come on in. The drinks are on me. Well, he said, that was about the first of it. That's cool. What he wanted to do, he said he'd get by him. Said he kind of hesitated till he got them all up to the bar. Then he told them all what they wanted to drink, you know. They did. I guess some of them didn't even know what was going on. He said he got right by him. He said his guy's down on the bar. He said his other fellow, he go to nail. He said, heck, he got his guy from the boy said that when he turned it up, said he had it. I said, that was the stoutest fight he ever seen. He said, and he was a bunch of them by that marshal was. My God. They were all over. He said he whipped him plumb out in the floor. Said, yes, boy, plumb out. But that time, that city marshal, he was out of there. And in that. But he had that old sap working him over. I guess they lived where he worked him over, both of them. And they took his guns off of him, but this marshal said he hadn't got it, he'd have killed him. He said he hadn't got it, that fella he killed him. So he said he couldn't. He was stronger by his father. Well, he said he couldn't. Well, then they went and got his wife, and he told this marshal told him, that the United States marshal told him, he said, I want to prove to you that I've got the right man. I've got the right man. Well, he said, he told him, he said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He said, I want you to go get his wife. I want you to get that boy. I want you to get that girl. He said, I want you to bring all three of them down. And he said, at noon, I'm going to bring him down there. He said, but I want you to have them in there, and I want you to set them at the table. And he said, I'm going to bring that man in there and set him by the cross of that woman. And I want to set him by the cross for him.
She didn't know he was going to be there.
No. She didn't know nothing about it. So they done it. Well, this marshal said, no, she didn't recognize him. She did not recognize him.
Yes, probably.
Was just thinking of something, was worried of something. She didn't think about it. And this little girl, 8-year-old girl, the boy I'd recognize him. That little girl, he said, she took a look at him, and she said, "Oh, Mama," she said, "that's the man that's sitting there that killed my daddy."
You see, that's good enough.
He told her, he said, "Oh," he said, "you're just a damn boy."
Shame.
That old marshal told me, he said, "Well, that's enough for you." He let him go there. And his mother, that kid's mother, though, the little girl's mother said, "Yeah," said, "that's the man," after she said it. Well, you know, things like that happen, and the kid does know.
Yeah.
You know, when that old jester stole that car out of Okie there several years ago. He stole that car out of Okie, right off the street. And he lived on the other side, up towards Cale's Spine, across the Chevrolet River up there somewhere. I never did know just exactly where he lived. But I don't know about it.